Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of the Garden Girl. I know, right? You'd think it's Halloween or something. Boo. Well, I'm not in a costume for just any old reason. I actually am so excited because I've been trying for 2 years and I finally get to do an episode on the beekeeping. I know a lot of you guys have started your own little chicken farms and some of you guys have gotten into bees. For those of you, what we want to debunk today is some of the myths that are surrounded by bees, unfortunately. So we're going to get them debunked. We're going to go through, actually we're going to watch and see what Ray does, what he actually was going to do whether we were here or not today. And we're going to go through some of the equipment and how you can actually get started. So first of all, I'd like to introduce Ray Wirt. Ray, can you explain to everybody what you do, the association, and how many members, stuff like, kind of give them the general synopsis.
Sure. My name is Ray Wirt. I've been a beekeeper since 2011, and I've been Tuscarawas County Beekeepers Association president for the last 3 years. So the Tuscarawas County Beekeepers, our main goal is to promote beekeeping in Tuscarawas County, and we do that through regular meetings where we host educational programs. And we also host social events with other beekeepers so we can share stories and we can learn from each other about things that go well and things that maybe don't go so well. Right. So I appreciate you inviting me out today to spend some time with me, and I'm excited to share my apiary with everybody. So getting into beekeeping, if I can take a moment here, just talk about beekeeping in general. There is a little bit to it. I call it more of an art than a science. While there are scientific principles involved, you have to understand a little bit about bee biology and how they operate. There's also a lot of art, being able to read the bees and understand what's going on and when do you need to do that beekeeper stuff sometimes. So I call beekeeping an art rather than a science. Bees are amazing creatures. I don't know how to explain it other than
they have their own personalities. They definitely have different personalities at times.
They do. Bees are superorganisms, which means that they live in a colony together, and everybody has to work together for that colony to survive. And like you just said, the bees have different personality. Every one of these hives that you see behind us, when we open it up, will have its own distinct personality and how they do things. So it's really kind of amazing. They're amazing creatures. So before we get started into the actual bee yard, I want to take a minute and show everybody what are some of the basic tools of beekeeping. So if you're going to keep honeybees, these are some of the things that you need in order to get started. And as you see, Heather's modeling what I call a full bee jacket. And this is basically a white jacket, and there's elastic at the bottom and elastic at the wrist to help to keep bees from not crawling up. And then you have a full hood on top then that literally zips to keep the bees out. So this allows you to work with the bees and them not maybe get on you to sting you.
Sure.
Beekeeping, honestly, they are insects and they have stingers, and they will use them when they need to. The key is I've been doing this a long time, and probably this year I've only been stung maybe once from just working bees. So they're not prone to stinging if you're careful and gentle with them.
And
so,
that's pretty good considering the population I'm seeing behind me is how many, roughly?
In any one of those boxes up there, we're probably looking between 40,000 and 60,000 honeybees.
Okay, and there's how many boxes?
There's 7 in this yard.
Okay, you guys do the math. One sting is not bad. That's a pretty low percentage. And I know just from my own garden that really, I mean, when they're in their mode and they're hungry and they're feeding and they're jumping from, flower to flower and collecting the pollen, they could care less if I'm 2 inches away. I swear, at least the ones that are out my house, I could darn near just pet them and they would be like, dude, I'm on a mission, leave me alone. And I haven't been stung in 20 years. So that's why they don't bother me maybe like they used to. They just don't bother me because I've learned if you just let them go, they're fine. Now I know there's a few things we are gonna get into. Ray's gonna, like he said, he's gonna show you some of the things you really have to have. I mean, these are your bare essentials to get started here. And he's also gonna go into what he's going to do for the day, and we're gonna debunk some other myths. So I know when we come back after the break, we're gonna go and jump right into that. So you guys stay tuned and we will be right back.
For clean air you can breathe in a clean-looking home exterior, Ultra Clean. Locally owned and operated, offers both air duct cleaning and pressure washing for your home. Give them a call at 330-243-3996 to help clean up the air you and your family breathe and your home's outside appearance.
For fastidious librarian Emily Skinner, each day was fueled by thorough preparation for events to come. Well, somewhere along the way, Emily went right on living. But you see, with the help of her Raymond James financial advisor, she had planned for every eventuality, which meant she continued to have the means to live on, even at the ripe old age of 187. Life well planned. See what a Raymond James advisor can do for you.
Hi everybody, welcome back. Okay, so Ray, jump us into some of the equipment that if somebody's gonna get started, they need to get for sure.
Okay, great. Some of the basic things I would start with are protective equipment. If you're gonna work honeybees, you need to protect yourself. So like we said earlier, you have the full jacket with a hood. They also make things like this, which is a veil with a hat. Basically, it's a two-part combination. You have the helmet, and then you have the veil that slips on. These are great. These are pretty handy if you just want to do something quick. Of course, it looks funny when you put them on. And of course, they have the long strings. I'll go ahead and put this on while we're here. Some of the other things you need, you must have a smoker. This is a smoker I've been using since I started beekeeping. Again, it's just got a chamber inside, and I use just a little cotton fluff material, pine needles, corn cobs, things that can make smoke. Is what you're after. It doesn't have to burn, but it does have to smolder, make a good smoke. The smoke from a smoker helps calm the bees when you work on them. Bees do a lot of their communication through smell or scent, and the smoke kind of breaks that up so that they can't transmit the alarm pheromone through the hive when you work. So it keeps them calmer. Because you kind of interrupt that communication chain. Some other things that you need, you'll need a bee brush. Sometimes if you need to look at things, this very gentle brush, you might need to move the bees off, so a bee brush is good. You will always need a hive tool. A hive tool, as you can see here, is kind of a curved tool. It looks like a construction wrecking bar, but it's actually a little finer grade than that. It comes to a very thin point. The steel is a very good spring steel, and it doesn't bend. When you're prying boxes apart, the bees will glue the boxes together, and you need something like this to basically pry the boxes apart. And you also do a lot of scraping. So when the bees put wax where you don't want it, you spend a lot of time scraping that stuff off. That's kind of the management we do. They make a lot of different styles of tools. These are two other tools that I use. This one's called an Italian style tool. This is a new, more modern tools they've developed. This one's got a little hook on it that will allow you to get in between frames and pry them up if they're stuck.
Because that's where the honey is.
That's where the honey is.
That's where
the frames
get the honey
are.
off of.
So these are all just different style tools, but as a beekeeper, you will need some sort of a hive tool to get started. An optional tool that I use is a frame rest. Basically, if I'm doing an inspection in a colony, sometimes you need somewhere to hang a frame.
Okay.
So basically, frame rest works. It just hangs on the side. And when you remove a frame, you can literally just set it outside. So it just provides a convenient place for you to work. This is kind of optional. It's not mandatory, but it is kind of a nice thing if you need it. Some other things you need are, you're going to need some woodware to start your boxes with. Once you get your basic tools that we just talked about, you'll need to have an actual hive body to put the bees in.
Sure, they need a home.
So basically, a hive body consists of a couple of different parts. You have a bottom board, which is basically the floor of the bee house.
Okay.
Then you have a what we call a brood chamber, which is a deep box. It's about 9.5 inches tall,
Okay.
and it's square just like this one. This is called a honey super. As you can see, it's a little narrower. It's not as deep as a brood chamber.
Okay.
So you'll need, typically on a regular bee setup, we have 2 of the brood chambers, which are the deeper boxes. And then when the bees fill that up, we then start adding these honey supers on.
Okay.
Typically what happens is the bees will lay their babies in the lower 2 boxes, and then surplus honey they put up in the top.
And that's where we get our locally made honey from.
Yeah, absolutely. Now in any hive, you're also going to have frames. This is a frame. This one has a plastic foundation.
Okay.
The foundation can be wax foundation. There's a whole bunch of different brands and types. You can also start without foundation at all, and the bees will build their own. They'll just fill it in with comb.
Oh,
So
okay.
as a beekeeper, that's some of the decisions you get to make, is how you want to, set up your equipment. So that's one of the choices you get to make. The bees will then take and draw out beeswax on both sides of this. And that is where they will put the honey. That's where they raise their babies, and that's where they put pollen and all the resources they need to survive in that hive goes on these frames.
Okay.
Okay, so typically hive bodies, if you can see in this photograph, there's 10 frames in this box. A typical hive body will either have 8 frames or 10. That's the normal setup for a hive.
Okay.
This setup is called a Langstroth hive. Langstroth Hive is named after Reverend Langstroth. He was the first person to develop the concept of taking bee space. Bee space is about 3/8 of an inch. And what happens is if the bees have a space inside of a colony that's less than 3/8 of an inch, they fill it with a product called propolis, which is basically bee glue.
Okay.
And that comes from all the sticky resins on trees and plants.
Okay.
So whenever they have something like a crack or an opening in a colony that's less than 3/8 of an inch, they take that bee glue and they fill it in. If it's more than 3/8 of an inch, the bees fill it with wax.
Okay.
So that's why when we get up here, we'll see there'll probably be spaces where they put in this wax, and that means the bee space was more than 3/8 of an inch.
Okay.
But Reverend Langstroth, back in, I want to say, the late 1800s, developed this hive system with the removable frames that maintains a 3/8 of an inch bee space throughout the inside of the hive.
Nice.
So that was his
claim to fame?
that was his claim to
Yep.
fame. I don't think he actually came up with the concept of bee space, but he was the first one, I think, to put it into this type of a hive body.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and he's a local guy from here in Ohio, down in Miami, where Miami University is.
Yeah.
That's where he's from. So a
Awesome.
little piece of local lore there.
Well, do you think that, now I know you, but when I came up to the house, you had said you were already getting ready to do stuff today anyhow.
Sure.
Now, I know we need to cut to a break, but when we come back, Ray is going to go up and show you what he was going to do when, even if I wasn't here, and we're going to debunk a few of the myths too. That way it kind of gets everybody chilled out on everything. So stay tuned, grab something to drink, grab your pen and paper, and we will be right back.
I think the hands-on aspect is going to give you an opportunity to explore, find out what you're good at, what you like, and you're not going to have mountains of debt. What you're going to have is a marketable skill that even if you don't love it, you can use that to pay to go on to college and get that degree. And we've got a number of students that do that. They're very mature. I think we're a great hands-on exploration base.
Hi, I'm Elaine Miller with Naturally Green Cleaning Service. My company serves both commercial and residential clients. We do general cleaning, spring and fall, empty homes to get them move-in ready, and final cleans for new construction. We use eco-friendly cleaning products that leave your home or office fresh, clean, and safe for you, your family, pets, or coworkers. Our focus at Naturally Green is to provide excellent customer service paired with outstanding work to build a relationship of trust with you, our clients. Having served the area 4+ years, we have had many referrals and testimonials that you can access on our website at www.naturallygreencs.com. Our work sells itself, therefore we have never had any contracts even with our largest commercial accounts. Call us today for your free quote and see what makes our company stand out.
Okay, so what I'm doing today is I've got to go through and do what we call hive inspections. So I'm going to open up my colonies and I'm going to make sure that the queen is laying good and that they have enough room in their box to keep on bringing more honey in. And if we find out that we need to add a box, then I've got some material behind me where we can add some more equipment onto this. So for now, let's just get into this and we'll see what we see. So I've already lit my smoker, and as I said earlier, you're always going to need smoke to work your bees. So we're going to give them a little puff here at the front, just to let them know we're here. And we'll give them a little puff underneath the cover. Again, just so everybody knows that we're on our way. As you can see, yeah, we got a few bees on top here. Yeah, it's pretty good. Again, our hive tool, this is what's called an inner cover. The cover I just took off is called a telescoping outer cover because it goes down over, and that's what helps keep the weather out of the top of the colony. The inner cover, I'll show you here in a minute. The bees use that bee propolis I talked about earlier, that bee glue. And you can see that this one's really hard to pull off because they've glued it down. So this is why you need a hive tool. So some of that sticky stuff right here, I'll try to show you. You see how kind of sticky that is? That's called propolis, and that's the bee glue, and that's what they use to seal up cracks and imperfections in the colony. Okay, but that's why you need a tool to get the lid off. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple frames out and we're going to see how it looks inside the colony. Give it a little more smoke here. Okay. See if I can get this frame out. They've glued it kind of shut, so it's hard to get the frame out sometimes. So we're going to come right in, pick that up. And now we'll very carefully lift this frame out, trying to be careful not to smash any bees when we do it. So this here is capped honey, and you see that how beautiful that capped honey is. This frame of honey right here weighs about 7 to 8 pounds of honey on one frame. Or this one's probably closer to 6 pounds on a frame. So it looks like to me this top box is full of good honey. And we'll pull just a couple out to take a look. And it looks like the bees are doing a great job here. Again, that's another frame of capped honey. That's beautiful. I believe this whole upper box is full of honey, so I'm going to pull this out. And we'll go down to the next box and see what we find. Okay, very gently put the frames back. And we'll tighten the frames up to get our spacing. So this box right here is probably going to weigh about 40 pounds. There we go. Uh-oh. Boy, they really stuck this one down, didn't they? There we go. Oh, There we go. You remember I talked about bee space earlier, and you see all this here? This is all capped honey, where they put that wax where I had more than 3/8 of an inch between the bottom frame and the top of this frame. So what they've done is they've come in and they've filled all that with wax and they put honey in it. So I've got a little bit of cleanup work to do when I'm done here. Again, we'll try to be very gentle. Try not to smash anybody as best we can. I think they filled this up with honey too. It's very heavy. Okay, everybody move out of the way, please. Again, I'm going to be very, very still and slow. And you see now they filled that up with honey as well. And you see how that's a bigger frame than the other one. That's called a deep frame. Typically, that's where we want our bees making their, putting their babies. And it looks like in this box they've been putting honey in there. So we definitely need to add a box to this. Oh yeah. Yeah, another frame of nice, beautiful honey. I think they've made a lot of honey in this box. So again, another box of, another frame of honey. I'm going to skip that. Now here's the frame I want to show everybody. This frame right here, you see the honey around this upper edge? That's honey. This right here is the baby bees. That's called the brood. These are worker cells. You see how they're capped nice and flat? That tells me it's a worker cell. And that means that there are female bees coming. That's a female bee. Let me see. It's hard to see, and I don't know if you can zoom in, but there's an egg in the empty cell. There's a little white grain of rice in there that's really, really tiny, and that's an egg that the queen laid. And it looks like it's relatively new. So I don't know if we'll see the queen or not, but we'll look for her as we go. But those are baby bees. And again, on this side, you can see there's some more. So again, this next frame is going to be a little more impressive. These bees have made a lot of honey. It's getting busy up here. Yeah, I'm going to pull this out and then we'll put it back together. This tells me that the queen's doing good, but you see how nice that queen's laying? When I see a pattern like that, that tells me I've got a really excellent queen in this box. It may be hard to see. These are all worker bees, but that big chunky guy right there is a drone. That's a male bee. Drones only have one purpose in a bee colony, and that's to mate with the virgin queen. That's the only thing they do. They don't bring in honey, they don't bring in nectar, and they don't even have stingers. So drones are, you know, they serve a valuable purpose, but you don't need a lot of them. Okay, I'm going to put this one back together because it looks like they're doing pretty well. It looks like I've got a good queen. She's laying good. I doubt we'll find her. See, now I've got... I'm smoking now because where the honey pulled off the bottom, there's a lot of bees. I'm trying not to smash anybody when I put this back together. And where did you come from, I wonder? You're off that side. So, oh, no, you're on that. So again, nice and slow here. Oh. sorry, we got stuck. Okay, we try to go in nice and slow so we don't smash anybody. And then I make sure the frames are tight. And since they have made so much honey, they've literally ran out of room inside the hive. So I'm going to put a new box on for them. So this will give them some more room to grow and expand. So let me try to keep from. I try to smash as few bees as I can and when I put things back together, but sometimes it's hard. So we try to put things on at a little bit of an angle. And we try to slide it around. So we try to minimize how many poor bees die in the making of the honey here. So what I've done is I've added a new box with empty frames and foundation. The bees will now come in and they'll draw beeswax out on this, and they will put more honey in this box that I just added. So that's kind of what we're doing here. And you can see these bees are making great honey. Oh, that beautiful capped honey there. That's what it's all about. And for anybody who's curious, beekeeping is while it is what I consider to be glamorous, there is a lot of back-breaking labor when you have to lift a lot of these boxes that weigh about 40 to 50 pounds. The deep box right here, if that was completely full of honey, would weigh almost 80 pounds. So, yeah, there's an actual quite a bit of labor involved in making honey. But at the end of the day, I think it's well worth it. It's good for the bees and it's good for us too. So, okay, let's put this one back together. I think we're going to need a little smoke to kind of maybe not have them get smashed. So again, everything in beekeeping is nice and slow. You don't have to be in slow motion, but you just try not to smash bees, so you and now we'll put our top back on. Smoke these a little bit more here. So try not to smash anybody. And there you go. We've now gone in and done a real quick inspection. We saw we had a good queen because the brood pattern was really good. We saw eggs, which means that the queen has been in there at least in the last 3 days. And we saw that this box was out of room because this top box was full of honey, and they were actually putting honey down in the brood box, which tells me they needed more room, and we gave them more room by adding another honey super on. So probably in another week, couple weeks, they'll fill this one up, and if they need it, I'll put yet another box on. So that's kind of how it works. This system, you just keep adding on boxes. So I guess that's it for this part of the demonstration. So thanks for watching.
For fastidious librarian Emily Skinner, each day was fueled by thorough preparation for events to come. Well, somewhere along the way, Emily went right on living. But you see, with the help of her Raymond James financial advisor, she had planned for every eventuality, which meant she continued to have the means to live on, even at the ripe old age of 187. Life well planned. See what a Raymond James advisor can do for you.
For clean air you can breathe in a clean-looking home exterior, Ultra Clean. Locally owned and operated, offers both air duct cleaning and pressure washing for your home. Give them a call at 330-243-3600. 3996 to help clean up the air you and your family breathe and your home's outside appearance.
Hi guys, welcome back. Well, we're going to debunk a few of the myths, and Ray here is going to try to answer them as best as possible. Okay, myth number 1. All bees sting. If they land on you, they sting.
That's a myth. Basically, honeybees only sting if they feel threatened or if you basically hurt them. So honeybees really just don't have a penchant for stinging just because. Honeybees can only sting you one time, and they know that. So they're pretty picky about who they sting. So I would say that's a myth. For the most part, I spend a lot of time in my colonies, and I very rarely get stung.
And if they land on your arm, does that mean that they're going to sting right away?
No, typically they might just be checking you out. The other thing is sometimes the salts that come out on your skin, they're actually after the salt maybe.
They like it?
Yeah, they're not really in a sting mode, if you will.
Right.
So they might just be checking you out, or they're after the little bit of salt that might be on your skin.
So don't freak out.
Yeah, always just be calm. Bees are very, honeybees are typically non-aggressive. If they do land on you, they're just trying to, again, just check you out, see what's going on, and they will generally move on their way once they figure out you're not a flower.
Yeah, they can't get anything good off you.
Yeah.
You serve no purpose, they're out of there.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to say bees are typically very non-aggressive, and yeah, you shouldn't have a problem.
Okay, another thing, people I know through the years, perfume, for us women, perfume, yay, nay, does it attract them? Because I've heard, oh, if you wear perfume, you're just going to draw bees to you.
Okay, actually that's not a myth. In my experience, it turns out the folks who typically wear the colognes, the perfumes, and maybe other products like very strong deodorants or hairspray, the bees typically don't like that.
Oh,
the honeybees.
okay.
So if I was in my bee yard working, I would probably try not to wear some of those products.
No smelly stuff, guys.
Yeah.
Just ixnay smelly stuff if you're going to go beekeeping. Really, it's not a runway show. They don't care.
That's true.
Another myth that I think everybody, okay, so as long as you don't swat at bees, they usually will not bother you, correct?
Typically that's true.
Okay.
Swatting, I guess from a bee's perspective, when you swat at a bee, you kind of declare war on them, and it turns out they're a lot better at it than we are.
They win.
Yeah, one of the fun facts I usually relate in some of my my educational presentations are honeybees can fly about 16, 17 miles per hour. And an average human can only run about sprint maybe 14 to 15 miles an hour. So if you kind of swat at them and expect to outrun them, it's kind of a losing proposition. So
Now, I'm actually really tickled. We have next week's episode coming up, which I am covering something everybody is asking me for, and talk about declaring war. I am losing the battle with the voles. You guys are gonna see firsthand the good, the bad, and the ugly out there. I have totally turned into Bill Murray from Caddyshack. It's gotten bad. So you do not want to miss this episode next week either. It's gonna be probably quite entertaining. So see you next week. Wear your sunscreen. Enjoy this beautiful summer weather.